If you could buy one device for your asphalt plant that would provide you with thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of return on investment through multiple levels, would you do it? Would you take that opportunity? Today we're here to talk about foamed liquid asphalt and the proper way to do it and the other benefits that come with it. Whether you want them or not, you're going to be getting multiple benefits from foaming your liquid asphalt. My name is Rick Rees. Welcome to the Stansteel podcast. A little history on myself. I've got 50 years in the construction industry, been with Stansteel 27. I've worked through the paving industry, over paving operations, many plant operations, and I'm here today with Tyler Murphy.
Thanks
Hello,
for having me,
Tyler.
Rick. Yeah, as Rick mentioned, my name's Tyler Murphy. I've been with Stansteel now a little over 4 years. Started out in our parts project management department and moved over to sales just over 2 years ago. Rick, if you wouldn't mind, would you tell the audience a little bit about the history of foamed asphalt and how this product came to be?
Yeah, a while back, everybody wanted to go green and start lowering the carbon footprint at their asphalt plants. So naturally, in order to do so, you have to lower your burner position. So foaming liquid asphalt with water became one of the ideas that came up on top of chemical products that were out in the industry. So by water foaming, that allows you to better coat the material, which allows you to reduce the temperature of your burner, which again gives you that lower carbon footprint and saves you fuel, gives you fuel savings. That's the the general description of what it was all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And also, I guess a few points about how the Accu-Shear is different than other so-called warm mix systems that might be out on the market.
Yeah, well, that's a really good question because we did differentiate ourselves. We took our time when this hit the marketplace. You know, it was like everybody went for the gold real quick. Came out with some type of a small system that you could inject water in to your liquid asphalt line, and it would do something in the line and give you a little bit better of a coating of your materials. But we didn't think they were doing it right, so we went back and we looked at it as how would a refinery do it if they were going to do it properly. So we decided that we would go, all out and try to develop a piece of equipment that would start off by doing the foaming, but maybe we could evolve it into something different as we went along. So we were way ahead of the marketplace with the Accu-Shear when we developed it. But we decided to go, a refinery loves horsepower. So we went with 15 horsepower. We developed a mill. And by doing that, we incorporated a gear set to be able to create the microfoam that we were looking for, which is, again, thousands and thousands of small air pockets, basically, that are created by the steam gas in the process through the gear set. As it comes through, it compresses it, and it manufactures a new product temporarily until it gets into the mixing zone.
Okay. Yeah, and in that mixing zone, I guess it's going to be able to have a better workability as far as coating all your aggregate as well as your minus 200s and your dust and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and that's the key, is to get that minus 200 coated properly. If it's not coated properly, like even in an HMA, or if you were sampled to lose temperature during the day on your plant and you got down below 300, 290, you'd still run that out to the lay down machine and put it down. It might come out of the silo a little bit slow, but you'd still put it on the ground. But what's happened is that minus 200 has started to clump in that process, making it a little bit more dough-like, which stiffens the material up. But you can still put it down, but it's not going to be as nice of a homogeneous material that you'd be looking for on any given day at a higher temperature.
Right.
So by foaming properly, we're able to reduce that temperature down and actually have a better mix because we're coating all of that material 100% and much better through the process.
So with the Accu-Shear, what were we looking to achieve during the development stages?
Well, in the development stages, we were looking at how could we actually create a new product with using water that was going to be a temporary part of the process, because as soon as it gets in the mixing zone, it flashes off. But what we were looking for was how we were going to benefit the customer. We wanted it to be cycle dependable, which means every time they want it to run, it's going to go to run. The next is, how do we prove what it's doing? That was something that we saw in the marketplace that nobody else was doing. nobody's ever seen foamed asphalt until they've seen the videos of the Accu-Shear and what we've seen ourselves by putting a device someplace after the process that we can take a look and see exactly what's it doing and how can we make adjustments during the actual operation of a plant to make sure that if we increase water, what does it do? If we decrease water, what does it do? If we run different oils, for example, if we run a heavy grade oil or a light grade oil, what changes when we add different water? So it's kind of a little scientific application we were looking for after the fact. Once we get it on a machine, on a plant, how can we really tell what it's doing? And that way maybe in the future it tells us what we need to change or what we need to improve. But luckily we hit it pretty good the first time, and by putting all these tools on the Accu-Shear to start with, we set ourselves up for very, very good success.
Yeah, those are some pretty bold claims on the Accu-Shear. Are there anything that we've seen out in the field from customers or heard from them about what this product is able to do?
Yeah, it's our job as a manufacturer to manufacture a product, like I said, that's cycle dependable and works. I mean, it's all theory until it's put into action. We have to find that customer that has that entrepreneur spirit, get it on its plant, and then follow up with the customer and see it through to the end and prove that it's going to do exactly what we say it's going to do. And once we do something good with that customer, get it figured out, then the next customer, then the next customer, then the testimony that comes back again. Like I always say, we're not an end user. We're not the manufacturer of the asphalt. We're the creator of the equipment. But once we start getting feedback from the customers, that's where we start our dialogue on what the Accu-Shear will do or what it won't do. But we've been very fortunate in that it does not just foaming, but it does every other kind of liquid blending. It does multiple functions that all have return on investment attached to them, which is things that we learn from the customers.
Yeah, so one of the things with the Accu-Shear I believe we were trying to accomplish was reduce mix temperatures. Has there been any benefits that you've seen or heard from customers?
Yeah, the customers have reported back, for example, going from 320 degrees to 290, which is, again, that blue smoke line that you're trying to get below. That's the visual emissions that you're trying to get below. But if you take like a 400 ton per hour plant, that's about $74.25 an hour in fuel savings reported back to us. So if you take that on a 10-hour day, that's about $742. Now let's just take that by 100 days. That's $74,000 return on investment. A 300 ton an hour plant, that'd be like 55,000, in the same time period. So that's a pretty significant reduction in fuel, which means it's a good reduction in carbon footprint.
And that's one of the things that really stuck out to me is, like you said, taking our time getting the system out to the market. Some other people might have just been focused on lowering mix temps. This has numerous additional other benefits we can obviously get into later in the show, but I think it's a very good system. Is there anything really particular, any stories or anything like that has stuck out?
Yeah, I think the original story is that they wanted to call it warm mix. What is warm mix? It wasn't even defined for years as to what warm mix was. What's the target? If your mix temperature's 330, 340 back in those days, right? People wanted it hot and black. What's your goal? Well, there really was no goal. And then some people said, well, 30 degrees. Well, that's 300, but you really haven't reduced emissions at the plant because you're still blue smoking. So we took a look at it and we decided that we wanted to do temperature reduction. We wanted to reduce temperature, and we wanted a dynamic foaming system. So that's how we developed the Accu-Shear, and we used horsepower. We're the only ones out there, I think, still today. In fact, I'm sure that we're the only ones still today that use horsepower to achieve this by running, water into the metered water into the liquid asphalt, and then, using a gear set in our shear mill to dynamically foam and to actually make a new product temporarily, right? So we use the steam gas, which expands that water 1,700 times. So a 17 to 1 ratio coming out of the Accu-Shear with the liquid. Our microfoam has been proved over and over again. You've seen the video of the foaming. Yeah. What do you think about that when you see those cans being filled?
Oh yeah, I mean you'll fill a paint jug full, and I mean it'll fill up to the top being foamed, and after a couple seconds it'll be down to a quarter, sometimes even lower than half
Yeah.
of that can. It just shows you the true foaming action that the Accu-Shear is
Yeah.
able to achieve.
So, one of the things that we didn't want to do is just throw something out on the market without being able to prove it, right? So we put on ways to sample, and we evolved into the safety station, which is on there now, to the safety cabinet to keep the person safe when they're taking those samples. Back in the early days, it was basically a ball valve, and what we found, and we'd never seen anything like it either. Here we are, we're running the Accu-Shear, and on the first few that we had out there, we go out with them, and we start foaming. We calibrate. We know the water's running right. Everything's looking real good. Well, we go to that sample valve and we fill up a can, and we put the can down, and we start seeing all these bubbles coming out of the can, and we start seeing the reduction. So we got a can that's like 10 and a half, 11 inches tall, and she starts to dissipate down to about 2.5 inches of liquid asphalt in the bottom of the can, and it was pretty exciting to see that. So we keep filling the can up over and over again, and about 6-7 times to fill the can up to the top.
Right.
And each time we still got that same deal. So we started figuring out these foaming ratios and whatnot, and so we were very successful with that for quite a while. Very exciting times playing with water ratios, different liquid asphalts. You can get a liquid asphalt that's got a higher elasticity, like a rubberized mix. Well, you may use a little bit more water. You go down to a 64-22 or a 58-28, use less water because you don't need that much water. We'd been hearing these very high, with the other systems out there, these very high water percentages, and we found that those higher water percentages weren't required at all. They were up at 3-4% water, so we started taking the water down by the facts that we were able to see what we were doing. And so we took the water percentages down to like 1%, 1.5%, really low. We get into rubberized mixes, and we might go up to 2. Which was unheard of. But running it through that gear setting and using that energy, that kinetic energy from the steam gas, to create that microfoam was really where the success was behind reducing the temperature of the mix.
Yeah, which goes into coating as well, right? If you're being able to foam that much, it's really going to get all your material, but even your -200s and all your dust coated as well. Is that?
Oh, exactly. That was the success. Back when I was paving, not every day do we have a great day. We might lose a burner or be trying to get things settled out at the plant. We'd ship a load of mix at 290 degrees, but it was more like cookie dough. But you could lay it and you could pave it. But when your aggregate temperatures aren't high enough, what happens is that the liquid asphalt doesn't get into all that -200, so it kind of balls it up a little bit.
Right.
Not where you could break it and see it, but it's actually happening in that mix. So can you roll it and get density? Yeah, we could. But now with this, the way we're foaming and getting it into the mixing zone, it's got this very high expansion ratio going in there. It gets into that -200, coats all that material really well. The excess steam gas flashes off because you're above boiling, so all of that at 290 degrees, for example, just flashes that steam gas off. And in that flash off, it goes back to its natural state coming out the discharge. But it's got a superior coating of liquid. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. I've heard that on the road too, obviously at our presentations here. But yeah, it seems like there's a lot of benefits to it with the foaming aspect. But like you mentioned, the mixing zone as well. Not having as much buildup in your mixing zone, going to be less wear on your drum, less man hours cleaning out that mixing zone if need be. Seems like really a great product to be able to.
We've had, we of course aren't the end users, but the end users love to tell us about the successes, and we learned about these one at a time. First was the foam, and then we started getting feedback from the customers about end users about the successes they were having. In the cases of of drums that build up with material bad, like the Aztec double barrel, for example. And there's other drums, almost any drum, if you're running a real heavy oil, it can build up in areas of the drum. Well, there was a lot of companies out there that were telling us that they were extending those clean out times. One of the most successful ones was reported from one of our salesmen. I believe it was Brad Aller out in Arizona. I think it was Vulcan at the time. They were having to clean out like every 30,000, 40,000 ton, and they were a high producing company. And they're talking about a couple of days of clean out every 30, 40,000 ton. So they put the Accu-Shear on, and they went well over 100,000 ton before they had to clean out. They were a very high producer, so that the return on investment for them was just that alone. Never mind reducing the mixed temperatures as well. They played with that later on.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of a similar story. I had a customer in Ohio, and every Friday he told me they'd shut down at lunchtime, and he'd have 3 guys come in and chip out the mixing zone. We talked about an Accu-Shear, something he's still thinking about, but yeah, he just, not only the wear and tear on your wear parts, but also just the man hours that you're paying for to clean out mixing zones, to fix other components, other wear items on your plant, that can be really solved with lowering temperatures, being able to coat more. It makes a lot of sense.
You think about that, cleaning it out. What does that do? Say you got 3 guys that are going to go out there chipping hammers. You're going to be cleaning out these drums. Some of them are very complicated. Cleaning around all the components that are on these drums. What's the increase of getting somebody hurt?
Right.
Plus your downtime, if it is downtime, if you could be running and you're cleaning instead of running. You're talking about having to pay your wages, the insurance. You look at all those things. And plus, think about the guys that are doing the job really probably don't want to be down there chipping them drums out.
Especially every Friday afternoon, you could be out making mix and said you're chipping out a drum.
Yeah, just think of the guy spending his weekend chipping out a drum rather than being home with his kids or something.
Does not sound like fun to me.
Not me neither. Not me neither. So we as we went along, we found out a lot of other things. So we were foaming, and we were starting to get some good feedback, and then we had a customer down in Louisiana, Diamond B, come to us and said, "Hey, I was actually the fortunate guy that had this question asked of me. I was down there sitting with a customer, and we were at a Cracker Barrel, and he said, this thing you keep talking about, the Accu-Shear, you think it would do?" If it will blend water. He said blend, and I said, well, we're going to create foam with it. He said, well, do you think I could blend other products through it? And I said, well, what are your ideas? And he had a lot of ideas. So I wrote them down on a napkin, and we were sitting there on the napkin and going through all of the items he wanted. We drew it out on a napkin, and I said, hey, let me take it back home, and we'll see what we can do with it. And I did, brought it back, and we met on it, and we said, yeah. So let's get all the information. We had the products he wanted to use, so we started looking at pump skids, and we built a system, quoted it, built the pump skid systems. He had like 5 pumping meters that we built him, put the Accu-Shear in, and built a standalone control to run all of it, because their controls wouldn't take care of it. So we designed a little system to run it, and put it on his plant, and he started running latex, to grade bump from a 6422 to a 7022. He was saving something like, he was making, I wouldn't say he was saving, he was making $1.80 out the silo gate per ton. That's what blending was saving him. And on top of that, he was able to make cold mix emulsions in line and make his cold mix products and put them in a stockpile for future sales. So he was the first one that did the multiple blending of a lot of different products. But the latex was the one that was interesting to us. We used a BASF butanol 1126, I believe it was, something like that. And by grade bumping that 6422 to a 7022, Well, that relieved his stress on tank storage.
Yeah.
Because if he bought that 7622 and put it in his tanks, well, then he had all these other products he was running, all these other mixes he was running. Well, he'd have to empty a tank down and fill a tank up with another product. So it was kind of a balancing act for him. So now, by mix design in the control, he put it in his mix design 7622. Well, it would turn on the the pump meter skid on the Accu-Shear with that latex, and he's just bumping in line.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about $1.80 a ton out the door. I mean, that adds up if you're doing 1,000, 2,000 ton days consistently. I mean, really any tonnage, but I mean,
So
quite a bit
think
of
about
cost
that
savings.
return on
Yeah,
investment.
no kidding. That's quite a bit, saving $1.80 out the gate.
He went from 330 down to 290 at 400 tons an hour. He's saving about $74.25 an hour
Yeah.
on fuel. So at the end of a 10-hour day, he's saving about $742. That's pretty good. So if you take that simple math, 100 days, and they're running year round down there. At 100 days, that's 74,000. That's pretty good savings right there by itself. Now you take that $1.80 that he's saving, per ton of mix out the silo gate.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Then they started reporting other things down there as well. Roller passes. We started getting this. Don't know what's happening, but all of a sudden we're getting densities like right almost behind the paver. That was pretty good. Yeah. So we started getting good reports on that.
You can save the fuel savings out on the road too. I mean, if you're doing a couple passes or having your roller passes out on the job, I mean, that adds up as well. I mean, it's just the cost savings and just the compaction that you've been talking about here that you're able to achieve with Accu-Shear. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer.
Some of the other reports that started to come in later on, we started selling a lot of these Accu-Shears. In fact, we had a lot of success in Louisiana, of course, because of that $1.80. You got one guy getting a $1.80 savings. Well, they all want it. So we virtually just about put one on every big plant in Louisiana. So a lot of stories came out of there, and then it started to take off all over the country. The Accu-Shear in pockets. We started replacing a lot of brand X. So and them guys were reporting, giving us more feedback. And as time goes on, well, we start getting reports. Hey, I got less amps on my drag. Well, what does that mean? Because when you foam it, and when you're dragging up the drag slat and your bin top conveyors, it's amazing. All of a sudden you got less amps. What does that mean? Well, it's going to be extended life on that drag. We sell drag chain.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a lot of it.
We sell a lot of drag chain, but we can the Accu-Shear can actually, another little savings is that you could extend that. What if you could extend 30,000 ton?
Yeah.
What if you could extend, 50,000 ton, 100,000 ton?
Right.
What if you had a million ton drag chain? Now all of a sudden you got 1.5 million drag chain, just for an example.
Yeah.
That's a return on investment.
Might be another year or two that you're getting out of that drag chain that you might have normally not had. Floor liners, I mean, all your wear parts and your drag and bin tops, it definitely save some wear on those.
And all that labor, all the labor to change it out, take the drag down, change out that drag, it's just another return on investment if you start adding up all the little pieces, right?
Yeah.
Just keep adding up all the little pieces.
All that by getting your temperatures down.
And by taking that and reducing that mix temperature.
Yep, just reap the benefits of that. That's exactly right.
And I can remember we were doing this article. We down in Louisiana, again, this was another plant. We built a big rotary mixer plant for a company called Berryer down there. And it was the highest producing plant in the state of Louisiana, bar none, year after year after year. Well, they had an Accu-Shear on the plant, which we were doing an after report, I think for like Asphalt Pro or something, about a plant that had been in service for quite some time. So we went down there and we did an interview with a gentleman by the name of Ray Duffel. And we asked him all about the plant, the rotary mixer. They boasted about 3 hours of unscheduled downtime a year, things like that. I mean, which is very important to them. They were right on the edge of New Orleans, so they were able to sell a lot of mix. They had the number one location, I think, in the state. So we did this whole survey, and we were done. We were wrapping it up, and Ray says, "Hey, you didn't ask me about the most important thing." We sat back down. He goes, "The Accu-Shear." okay, well, tell us about the Accu-Shear and the foaming. And he goes, well, it's not just that. He said, I don't have to put a loader on my scales. And well, he kind of threw us a little bit for a loop and said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, I'm able to store and keep my silo gates closed and store for 2-3 days
Yeah.
without having to pop my gates.
Yeah, worry about plugs and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
So, well, we dug in, asked him, well, tell us a little bit more. He said, well, the safety, putting a loader that's as wide as the scale and then having to get under my silos with that loader is, and doing that at night to pop the gates, and the risk of having that mix, get bottled up inside that silo and have to poke it, with something, with a pipe on the end of a loader bucket or something to get it flowing is kind of scary. He said, but if we fill the silos up with foamed asphalt off the Accu-Shear, it's good to go. We can leave it in there for 3 days without popping a gate, and the first time we load it out, we ship it. We don't take it and put it back in the stockpile. Where he started talking about the cost of, reprocessing the asphalt that comes out of there, the waste that comes out, and then getting it back into his wrap pile to where he can run it back through the plant again. It's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah. So not only is it a good return on investment cost savings product, it's a safety product as well. You're not putting your guys underneath silos like you mentioned and having to do that at night, especially where visibility is not great. I mean,
Yeah.
benefits just keep adding up.
Yeah, getting hit with that bad weather real quick, like you do down there. A big storm will roll in, and maybe a 20-minute storm, maybe a 2 or 3 day storm.
Oh yeah, especially down there on the coast.
Yeah, just having that security of not having that bottle get plugged
Yeah.
was pretty good return on investment for those guys as well. So, we keep adding them up. We just keep adding up those return on investments that are reported to us by the end users.
Yeah.
We do the same thing for batch plants as well. We designed a system just like the Accu-Shear to go onto a batch plant, but it's a different operation. So we wanted to be able to be able to discharge mix as fast or liquid asphalt as fast or not faster than gravity. And we actually we learn a lot about life cycles, and a lot of these old batch plants, their spray bars were getting kind of plugged up from years and years of operation and just building up like an artery, right? Just getting filled up with old asphalt. Their cycle times were going down and down because they were waiting for that bucket to drain. So we took a look at that and came up with a new design where we evacuate that liquid asphalt out with what we call charge pump, and we evacuate that the weigh kettle, and we bring it down through an Accu-Shear, which is it's a monster. It's a much larger system because we're doing much faster cycles through a newly designed spray bar, which we have some more mixing features that are in the spray bar. We had a lot of success with Tilcon in Connecticut. Very good customer. They're now a CRH company, but they started off with one, and commercial users, they only want their mix hot and black.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They don't want to hear anything about taking mix temperature out of it, because they work that mix all day long doing driveways, parking lots, and small roadways, things like that. So Tilcon decided that they wanted to put one on and reduce temperatures, but the contractors didn't want it, but they did it anyway. They put one on in one of their plants. And so they took the mix temperature out a little bit at a time, and they got used to it as well, which was good. And, we wanted to see what happened as well.
Right.
So they were taking a little mixed temperature out, and then one day they get the phone call from these contractors saying, yeah, your mix is cooling down, but whatever you're doing, don't stop it, because we're able to work the mix longer all day long. We're taking less mix back to a waste pile at the end of the day. We're able to use it all, and when we roll it, even after we do handwork, it looks like it was laid with a paver.
Yeah.
So they've now put 3 of them on batch plants. They got 3 of their batch plants equipped with them, and we're talking about doing another one.
Yeah.
But so they've had a high success.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's another safety aspect of it as well. Like you were talking about not plugging on silo gates. If you're doing handwork or on the back of a paver, you're not breathing in blue smoke all day if you're getting it underneath that 290-degree temperature line. That sounds a lot better to me if I was on the back of a paver having to mess with that and being able to have a better workability in the mix at a reduced temperature.
Yeah, I think so. part of my upbringing, I was on a paver. I run the screed and I run the paver, and I can tell you, we wanted it hot black in those days. We did like it that way. We didn't know any other way, and we had 340, 350 degree mix in Oklahoma, for example, on a hot day. That was pretty miserable. So yeah, today's world, it's a lot better to have those mixed temperatures down and not be breathing that blue smoke in. And well, let's talk about blue smoke for a second. What is blue smoke?
It's a lighting gas, right? It's basically flashed off above 290.
Yeah. So if it's blue, it's got to be an oil product, right? It's light end oil, gets into the atmosphere, get carried out by steam gas. Yeah. So what happens when there's no blue smoke?
I'm going to say your emissions go down. There's less odor in the mix. And I've heard you say it time and time again. It's funny. If you put an asphalt plant there, a neighborhood will be built up around it. So you're going to have less complaints from your neighbors because there's no odor, not as much smoke coming out of your stack, less when you discharge into a truck a couple hundred times a day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, blue smoke savings, and then also which gets into your burner savings on your fuel, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny because neighbors, they look at your plant and your plant's okay until your plant's running, and then they start seeing steam gas. When the steam gas comes up, well, then they start raising Cain. And over 50 years, I've seen a lot of asphalt plants out in the middle of nowhere, like you were saying. And then fast forward 20, 30 years. Well, there's a city built around them. Build it and they will come. They just flood around there, and then they don't want after they get their asphalt roads and their driveways,
get out.
They don't want to plant there anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But if you're going to keep that, if you've lowered the temperature and now there's no blue smoke emissions, well, that blue smoke is now back in the mix. And I think that's a pretty that light end oil, I think, is very important to be back in the mix. I think it does some things to promote a better mix. And again, there's another return on investment with keeping that in there, because reported back to us, again, we're not the end user, but blue smoke is about 0.1% of the liquid asphalt content. So keep that in the mix. That's about $1.53 a ton.
Adds up very quick.
Again, would you not want to keep that in your mix? If you run 500 ton, probably be about $765 when you take that.
Oh yeah,
I would take
100%. I would take that.
Reduce odor. Also, another one was Las Vegas paving. Noticeable from the strip almost. They got this asphalt plant sitting up on the hill. Well, all eyes are on them about emissions. They're near a school. Again, they were out there by themselves at one time. The city grew up around them in the quarry. So they get high penalties for emissions, and so they put an Accu-Shear on. They got down below 290. They got rid of all the emissions, but they started getting notices again and getting fines that when they loaded the trucks, there was a flash. Well, they found out that their release agent, again, had water in it, and they'd spray that release agent in. Well, when that hot asphalt hit it, even though it was 290, it still flashed off that water. So, they called us and they said, hey, what can we do? And well, try not using it. So they did. They tried not using the release agent, and they eliminated that flash when the mix hit the truck. And they've eliminated using release agent altogether. Yeah. Again, what's release agent cost?
Right.
It's another savings.
Another cost. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's really real interesting that you start finding all these little benefits again. If I gave you $1.
Yeah.
If you gave me $1, I gave you $1.03 back. Would you do it every day?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would do it.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, especially I was going to say too, what that goes into that is longer haul times. Your workability is better because your temperatures are lower, but it's able to keep that foamed in there like you were talking about. So you're increasing your market territory as well.
Absolutely.
The customers you're able to serve.
I think it was like Adams. You remember that story? Adams, they put one on one of their asphalt plants, and they were just in the process of trying it out and getting up to speed with it. and they had a job that was up on a mountain in Virginia somewhere, and so all their asphalt basically is on the way to do this section of roadway, and something with the paver, I think the flight chain or something broke, so they had all these trucks showing up on the top of this mountain, and they said, well, what are we going to do? Send all the trucks back? Because normally that hot mix would be going bad real quickly. They said, no, let's just keep it up here and let's fix the paver. So they fixed the paver. I think the paver was down for several hours up on this mountaintop, and this mix temperature, of course, came down even further from sitting on the trucks. They ran it out, and they called pretty excited about they made densities with all that mix. So that's pretty good. That's another pretty good return on investment. I don't know how many loads were involved, but let's just say 10 loads.
Yeah.
What if you sent 10 loads back to your, again, your return trip on your trucking, right? And then you're going to dump all that mix back in your yard.
Yeah.
That mix is going to get hard, so that means you got to recrush it. You're going to have to reprocess it again. I think the return on investment was more than just returning it to the yard. There's a lot of things that go on after it hits the yard, reprocessing. So good success story with those guys. Talking about batch plants, we were in California and we talked with a customer there, County Asphalt. They run a batch plant, and they make most of their product is a rubber mix that they make in their batch plant. But they were having a lot of issues that, one, they couldn't store it. It was the binder was so stiff they couldn't store it. They were limited on how far they could truck it because they had to get it through a paver and get densities. And if they didn't do things in a timely fashion, they'd have to take it back up. So the fellow up there, Chris Gray, was informed about what the Accu-Shear could do on a batch plant stuff. So he put one on his batch plant, and he went to foaming his rubber mix, and he was pretty happy. He was pretty happy with that. It wasn't so much about reducing temperature at his plant. His return investment came on was he'd be able to produce this mix and be able to put it in a silo, get it onto a truck and expand his territory a little bit by being able to foam that rubberized asphalt and be able to ship it a little bit further, hold it on a truck a little bit longer. It gave a lot of relief to the crew. In fact, the crew said, if you don't foam the rubber mix, don't send it.
We don't want it. Yeah,
don't want it.
That's right.
We don't want it. Another good density, another good example, they were able to get densities behind it. So, when the paving crew says, if you can't foam it, don't send it.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
That's good to
pretty
hear
good
right there.
testimony.
As far as talking about extended haul times and hitting bonuses and stuff, one of the stories I've always liked is the Southwest story, because I think
that Greg Rolenberg.
Oh yeah, what do they have? 7 or 8 of our Accu-Shears now after
He
trying
does.
those out.
He does. If memory serves me correct, the first one was a coating issue. We went out there and we looked at his plant. He had some uncoated rock, and we inspected the drum. We inspected everything. They calibrated the plant to make sure that the plant was calibrated correctly. The aggregate just wasn't coating, and the state had given a lot of problem about uncoated white caps on the rocks. So we told him about the Accu-Shear, and he said, okay, well, we'll give it a try because we're in trouble because they were sitting on their own quarry. And they put one on, and immediately it started coating the rock. So, but along when we're trying to promote the Accu-Shear to this customer, Greg Rolenberg, we're telling about all the other benefits that we've learned learned about up to that time, and he had that entrepreneur spirit in there, which we didn't realize at the time, but he'd been listening, and so he called immediately, said, hey, coating rock real good. Think we'll start putting them on our plants. Then he started reporting back to us, reduced emissions, better mixing, better quality, less emissions out of my silos. He started dropping mix temperature, started reporting about fuel savings, and then he reported back to us not about a year ago, I guess, that there was a chance I don't remember the name of the facility. Do you remember what the project was they were doing?
I want to say it was was it an Intel
maybe an
chip factory or
Intel.
something like that.
Yeah, it had to be a zero emissions project at the laydown
Right.
because they had all of these sensors on the building, and if the sensors went off, it would shut this building down. So they took it on and they reduced the mixed temperature. They went out there and paved this job with zero incidents. And because if they'd had an incident, of course, the bad part is there's no return on investment for getting a big penalty.
Right.
It was a big penalty job. So it was a big benefit for them to be able to foam correctly, get that mixed temperature down, and to be able to pave that project, which in itself is a testimony, right, about what the Accu-Shear does, because that's a fact. You know, that this all took place. Those sniffers or those sensors. Well, that's a set deal. I mean, there's nothing that can change that.
Yeah.
So that just provides more facts.
Yeah, I mean, I would say off of that, I mean, just the few benefits we've talked about so far. I mean, reduced buildups, reduced wear items, longer haul times, less AC. I mean, the list goes on and on of the benefits of the Accu-Shear that one product can provide for your plant.
Yeah, if you start adding them up, right? I mean, it's not. Here's the nice part: you put one on, and you let's just say you reduce your temperature down to 290.
Yeah.
All these other benefits are going to come in whether you want them or not, right? It's like you don't have to want them; you're going to get them.
You're going to get them. That's
You're
right.
going to get them. Another story that I really liked was, North Pole, Alaska. Here you go, Santa Claus. What could make Santa Claus more happy than making money?
Oh, yeah.
It's like HC contractors up there. They weren't making. I guess they must have had binder issues or something, but they weren't making bonuses on their mix. And their climate there is a little bit cooler than it is in most places. So they put an Accu-Shear on, and they were able to run in colder temperatures, which was a big promotion. But since they put the Accu-Shear on, they've hit every bonus that's out there for them to be able to achieve. So that's another great return on investment just by putting the Accu-Shear on. They weren't maybe looking so much to reduce the temperature, but they were looking to make a better mix during these colder climates and be able to truck further, be able to put the mix down and be able to get bonus, and they achieved those things. So it depends on the value that you're looking for and the return on investment you're looking to get, which is very good for these guys.
Because what are we up to? Like over 50 now additives that we've ran through or customers have ran through the Accu-Shear?
I was surprised.
Yeah.
We started adding up the pump skids that we've designed because every product takes, they have different viscosities and different percentage rates where they run. So you've got to get your horsepower right. You got to get your pumps right, because it may be a very, very low percentage of the product that you're going to be putting into the Accu-Shear. One day we're at like 30, and then we jump up to like 50, 52. I don't know, but the number got up there pretty high, pretty fast. They're putting a lot of different additives through the Accu-Shear now and blending on site, whether it's rejuvenators, latex, water. Water, of course, is a gimme. You want to foam everything that you do. But there's also advantages in today's world. Evotherm, for example, is a product that's mandated that you run. They don't mandate how you use it. They mandate that it has to be in the mix. So you can buy it from a refinery, pre-blended again, and put that in a tank, and that's what's in that tank. Or you can blend it on demand at the plant. Just run it out of totes or a larger storage vessel. Put it in your mix design. When it calls for it, it turns it on. So you're blending on site. That's everybody's telling us that you're saving at least 50% on the cost of that product by blending it yourself. On top of not having an extra storage tank to store that product in. Or the other part that was reported was, I got this Evotherm in my tank at a high price. I don't have another tank to put an unblended product in. So I'm having to use that on private jobs and other jobs that I don't need to put that product in. So it's about how do I get the best return on investment out of the mixes that I'm making. So by being able to make that mix design on demand and be able to blend it on site, again, another return on investment. And there's times there are probably times in the winter, going into a lot of guys run real deep into the winter season. There may be a time where the water foaming may not be the answer, and the Evotherm might be because of freezing.
Yeah.
right? So, you could turn that on demand instead of the water.
Right.
There could be a balance of both going into the winter season or in the spring startup, and then until you get into the months where you're not, freezing overnight and during the day. A lot of guys are trying to push those seasons these days.
Oh, yeah.
Work a little bit longer into the season.
Yeah, it seems like every year it keeps getting pushed back a little bit farther and a little bit farther. I've definitely noticed that out traveling.
Yeah, it's like this year. I think everybody will be pushing deep into the season because of the rains that we had earlier in the year. January, February, March, April, May, June, going into July, nobody was doing a lot of paving because of the rain, almost across the nation.
Yeah.
So they're going to be paving long into the season this year.
Oh yeah, I hear that
Yeah.
quite often now, and yeah, being able to run that at a lower mix temp, I mean, it just goes into what we've been saying. You're extending your season as well as all the other benefits we've talked about already.
So return on investment, return on investment, return on investment, and a superior product. It's all you're gonna, that's what the Accu-Shear can do for you, day after day. Most of the customers say, you put it on your plant and you do what?
Put them on another.
Put them on another.
Yes, sir.
And never turn it off. You make it. That's the other thing too that I think that we miss out at, is the guys go, well, when I'm making an HMA product and I'm at 330 degrees, run it.
Yeah.
You're still going to have a better mix.
Oh yeah,
You're going to make a better mix.
that's exactly right.
If you want to know, again, anybody wants to know more about the Accu-Shear, we've got, on our website, www.stansteel.com, Hotmix parts. You can go see testimony from Greg Groenberg. You can see, go to the Accu-Shear. You can see a lot of these things right there. You can hear their testimony. It's not us talking, it's them talking.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
All right, Rick. Well, thank you so much for your time today. If you guys have any comments or questions on the Accu-Shear itself, be sure to leave a comment below, or any of our other Stansteel innovative products. Leave a comment below, and always make sure to like and subscribe. And for a more detailed video on the Accu-Shear, there will be a link in the description below. Thank you.
And we'll add a link below as well to get some more details on the Accu-Shear and how it operates.